There's just a couple of things one thing I want to talk about here for a couple minutes is we kind of decided as a board to see if we couldn't get together with Seth and Nate and sit down and see if there's some ways we couldn't work out or something. And I went down and talked to Nate about it, and Nate thought that it would be a good idea, but he felt that as long as our attorney was going to be there, he felt that Seth's attorney ought to be there. So I brought that back to our attorney and Sue, and they weren't in favor of the fact that to have Jessica Bryant present during that meeting. So that's kind of where it was left off, and that's why I haven't went forward with this. And I was kind of hoping by now we would have had an answer back from the judge, but I haven't heard anything. Has anybody else heard anything from the judge on? No. So
I mean, what was his issue with having to meet with Seth and Jessica?
well, they thought it would get into more of a hot-tempered thing if we had the attorney there. That's what they told me. And
I mean, the only reason I told you, I didn't think it was up to me to make decisions for Seth. You're going to have to meet with him at some point. So the attorney's going to have to pull up his shorts and get it done.
Well, flip it the other way a little bit. What would be wrong with meeting with Seth with no attorneys?
I don't think he would do that.
I think
He's been getting shafted here so much that I don't think he would go out without her.
That's
all right. So the ones
that are making, what we got to realize is the only ones making out in this whole situation are the lawyers. Period.
Exactly. That's what I said back $30,000 ago.
I thought about this week a lot. I think we need to sit down and talk with Seth not as a town board, just as individuals, and see what we can do on both sides to get this so it would work. The problem we have when we get any lawyer involved is every little I and every little T can get misconstrued into something that it's not intended to be. And
well, and that's why I think too that it probably is not good to sit down with both attorneys there, because I think we'd hurt ourselves trying to come to some kind of agreement, because I think it all ended up being it's a pissing match, and
Seth already made an offer to us a couple months ago.
Yeah, I know.
And everybody backed away from it.
But there's a lot more to it than just because listen, Nate, it's still on the code that you can't have a bar in a lakefront.
Okay.
Now listen, let me finish.
All right, go ahead.
And the town and the ZBA would be willing to work things out, but it would have to be under some kind of conditions. But if we don't sit down and talk and see what kind of conditions we're talking about, then I mean the town is just going to continue to spend money, which we can afford to do. We spend almost $50,000 now, which could have been used for an addition on one of this building or on the town barn, and I mean I'd like to see us come to some kind of a mutual agreement so both parties can can be happy and move on. It's, but if we can't talk, I mean, where's the end? There's no end.
Probably when the judge gets around to speaking.
But will that be the end?
Well, that,
The lawyer.
You know, I mean, if Seth wins, I would like to say it's the end. But if we win, I'm not so sure it's gonna be. So, that's what I mean.
the other thing is, you brought up that whatever law the town has, I've looked at that. There's nothing there that covers Seth's store. Nothing.
Well,
It says, you know, you can't have livestock, and you can't have barns, and you can't do, there's nothing that pertains to Seth's business.
what is his business?
He's just, you know, he sells gas and he sells food.
And he has a tap room.
Yeah, and he's been approved twice by the SLA to purchase on-premise and consume. The only thing different is that there's 4 taps coming through the floor, which that guy down there at the end of the table saw before he ever gave him the okay. So if he says he didn't see him, he's lying. He's lying big time.
So, but, I think the SLA is looking for it as a tap room as well.
But there's nothing there. You know, nobody's been able to show me where it says that what he's doing is illegal.
Well,
And that's the part that burns my ass, is we've spent close to $50,000 on an attorney that we shouldn't even be doing it.
I know, well, that's why I tried to get
And
us together so we could try to work something out. And,
I don't know what the resolution's gonna be.
I don't either.
I mean, they started this firefight, and I don't know how it's gonna end.
They started what?
I say, we've started this firefight, and now I don't know how it's gonna
I
end.
know, and it bothers me terribly. It's been a lot of friction between a lot of people, and right now I'm,
But you can give us 4 more years, and there won't be one of us sitting here. I'll guarantee you that. We'll all be gone.
And we will have left an awful mess and a lot.
Exactly. And they'll end it somehow,
It'll
but,
get ended, but
yeah,
we've got to get into some type of a healing process someplace.
yes, Wendy.
Regardless of how the judges and the lawyers come out with, the town's got some big wounds. It's very deep.
What?
The town has, there's been some very big wounds created, and a lot of friendships are no longer friendships in this town that you always figured you had. Some of those wounds will never be healed, but we do have to somehow get together and get this resolved to some...
I agree with you, but I don't know how it's gonna work.
I honestly think you get half a dozen people around the table some night, calmly, with no lawyers.
You're shooting for an awful
Well,
hard.
this is an awful tough situation
It is.
that we're in. And it is a tough situation.
I myself have lost sleep over this. And,
Oh, I think everybody
you
does.
know, and, it's, I don't know.
Wendy, you had something to say?
I actually thought we were on our way when we fired him. Then we had to hire him back.
Hey, you know what? I never lied. The lying is done at your end of the table,
No,
not
it's
mine.
yours.
No,
You are
no.
a liar.
You are full of it. You've lied all the way along.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, your whole
You-
family has.
No, you have.
John,
You are a damn liar.
You are full of it.
John.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, you are.
I
And
am.
so is,
All right.
I've had enough of having him call me a liar at a table and everybody just sit there and listen to it. And you guys know what went on.
Yeah. They know the truth.
Everybody knows. Yeah, they do know the truth.
Yeah, that's why they're not saying anything.
Yeah.
well,
All
Well,
right.
that ain't the
This
truth
is what
either.
I'm talking about. I
This is
kinda
bullshit.
figured this would happen when I brought this up, so,
Well, it's gonna come up later on.
Wendy, did you have something you wanted to add?
Yeah, I don't know if this is the time for it. I actually did not know this was going to be brought up tonight. It's just a
Nobody did. I
that
just
I'm
did it on
here.
my own.
My question or statement is, if Seth's business is prohibited by this town, and it's in writing somewhere, show it to me. That's all I ask. Where's the paper that says you cannot have a convenience store that sells beer west of Route 54? Where does it
Or
say that?
you definitely can have a convenience store to sell beer. But what happened was, he added on an addition and made a tap room out of it. And there was no permit for that, for a tap room.
But you're saying it's not allowed there,
Right.
permit or no permit. I want to see where it
Well,
says
when you
it's
have a
not
tap
allowed.
room, it's actually considered a bar.
Okay, well, where is that written?
Isn't that thing, isn't there,
It would have had to go
you
through a special.
have any input on that, Bruce?
My understanding of it, I don't know, I'm not a lawyer, so obviously I don't understand it as well as I probably should, but if it's not written in, when it says like, and then it mentioned a pig farm and a bunch of other things, I don't recall exactly what. Just because it isn't mentioned doesn't mean it's allowed, according to what our lawyer has told us anyway. Town laws, village laws, all that type of stuff, in zoning laws, when they write them out, they sometimes mention everything they don't want, but lots of times they only mention 3 or 4 things, or things similar, and that's where it gets into the problem with the legal deal. Whether the judge is going to side with Seth or whether he's going to side with Barrington, I don't know. I think the reason we stayed on this so darn long, we're under the anticipation that if this is allowed and it goes through zoning law, all of zoning law in Barrington, may find out that we're going to be sued by many, many people over a lot of different things. I can think of one fellow that already ran us through 3 courts over a zoning law deal. Barrington finally went through all 3 courts and won. It was on a grandfather deal. But he will come back and say, well, your zoning law means nothing now because you allowed this to go through. I don't know whether that's going to be true or not, but I can see where a lot of people that want to do something in Barrington can look at your zoning law and say, well, it doesn't specifically say I can't do it, so it's allowable. That means I can do it. What are you going to do about it? And that's what, it's kind of like gun laws and everything else. You know, how far do you want to fight these things, and how far are you willing to really go to try to prove your point? I don't know where we really stand on this. And like Kelvin and Nate and Phil and all the rest of us, I'd like to see this thing end. I'd like to see it end peaceably. It's going to be hard. There's going to be a give and take on a lot of people's parts to, at one point, some of the neighbors down there that were upset had kind of come across and said, well, if you're not going to be out on the deck and having outside music, we can live with the rest of it. We understand that that's where Seth is making money, and it's a 3-month deal. In order to make enough money to make a living, you've got to have income coming from something. It leaves us all kind of in limbo all the time here, and like Calvin said and Phil said, everybody said it, the lawyers are winning, the rest of us are losing, but I don't know where we actually stand. If the judge would make his decision, we'd at least have some kind of an idea what zoning law stands for. Is it right or is it wrong? I don't know.
Well, I keep hearing, the law says you can't. The law says you can't, but nobody's been able to show me, and as far as it not being listed, that's a pretty gray area. And if that's what's caused all of this, then I think maybe those zoning laws need to be upgraded or revamped or something. Because this is just a nightmare. And to sit here and be called a liar, I didn't ask for that.
Wendy, and that's one thing that we was going to work with the zoning board, because they are willing to work a little bit on this. That if we change the zoning law at all, it's going to take a little time. We just can't.
Absolutely.
But we can't do it overnight.
No, and nobody expects,
And I'll tell
they
you
want
what.
it right. They don't care how long it.
I'm going to tell you what I'll do. You want something shown to you that says, where it says he cannot
Do what he's doing.
I'm gonna work on that.
Thank you.
Wendy, I don't, when you come up with an idea like Seth did, and there's nothing written down there in that area, I don't know if you'll find anything that's written that says no bars, because I don't believe there is.
No.
But when you come up with something other than what is there, you do supposedly, again, you do need a special use permit for that reason. And when he put the taps in, it took him from just the selling and consuming there into a bar, supposedly, atmosphere, which is where the contention is. Now, what Phil said is true. We can change the zoning, and it has been talked about. We have not gone anywhere with it yet. But that is one solution that's on the, it has been just talked. It hasn't gotten very far. But it could be. I would like to see us get together and come up with something, even if it's a temporary deal, so that we don't have this confrontation all through the summer. And,
Well, I think a good starting point is I will check and see if we can get something in writing from our attorney that shows that he cannot do what he's doing.
So we just need to see the law.
Yeah. And what I'll do, once I get it, I will share that with the board and you guys and let you know where that is, what that is. And hopefully soon we can get together and try to put something together so we can all be both sides can be happy and move on and be our nice little community we used to be. And that's my goal, is just to see everybody back on the same page here, you know? I mean, that's what Barrington has always been about, and I'd like to see that continue, so. So let me work on that for you guys, as well as you and for the board, and see what I can do. That's all I can say right now at this point.
Okay.
All right? I guess the next thing I have is, we're gonna bring up, the mileage. We have, Joy sent me a thing here on John, on his mileage. We're back on, resolution 2016-127, where we're using the town official thing, that form AC 160-S.
That was for all of us.
Huh?
That was for all
That
of
was
us.
for all three of you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and it seemed to be a lot of extra work, because John does his on a computer, because he has a lot more places to go and stuff. And we were gonna, at our last meeting, we were gonna discuss and review that we, change that resolution to, accompany him to do on a computer as he's been doing, of which the, I'm not supposed to even say this.
Right.
So I can't, but, it's a good system anyways. And I personally like the way he does it on a computer. That's my own opinion. I think it's accurate, it tells your time and gives you the mileage between places. So, tonight we're gonna vote on that. I'm gonna make an emotion that we, allow John to do the mileage like he's doing on his computer. And, do I have any, comments or?
Well, I don't think it's fair for one and not fair for everybody else.
Well, the only thing about that.
Tomorrow, if they're gonna vote for him to get it, they should all get on to Verizon, get a phone, charge it to the town and let it go.
Well, to me,
We passed a resolution back
Yeah, but there's nothing
Because we
to,
had that,
I know,
we had that paper, we passed the resolution.
We
to
did.
Fill that out, but he's too lazy to do it, and he's just trying to get off and
No,
go ahead and smoke.
You know what, I got enough of you.
No, you haven't.
Yeah, I have.
You haven't even started.
That's
buddy.
fine.
Calm down.
Whatever you got, buddy.
This isn't-
hey, come
You're not
on.
helping
We don't want it.
anything.
All right, quick straw.
This is what I don't need, all right? Personally, I think it's a good way he's doing it. And, so I know